I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
Hello and welcome everyone, and welcome on this lovely 11/11. If you haven't been keeping up with things, that's a pretty important date. And today we're going to jump right into a whole bunch of spiritual and geopolitical stuff. We've got a great guest with us today. We've got Kat, Light Warrior Patriot, and of course my partner in crime, Stu. How are you guys today?
Excellent.
Thank you. Dory.
Yeah, this is really apropos, Kat, that we're doing this on 11/11, right?
I know. It's all synchronicities. And then Stu's like, what are we calling it? I'm like, obviously synchronicities.
Exactly.
Right. But
So for anyone, let's see, people they're probably familiar with you from some of the other shows that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And you do a show on, tell everyone what the network is so they can follow you there as well.
On fake news.
Yeah.
Rumble, you're saying? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I do too many things. I just wanted to say first and foremost that thank you to our servicemen and women and for their sacrifice, and just today's Veterans Day as well. So definitely want to honor them just for a quick moment. So, but thank you. We are on Rumble with Fake News 7NY, and also on News Treason. And we branched out because we have like the humanitarian side, and then we have the geopolitical side. So Mark's stuff is more, the child trafficking and all the hard subjects that people may or may not want to look at.
Yeah.
And then that's where Back to Light sits. So that's a show all about getting back to the truth, your self-sovereignty, your health, your wealth, and just being good and being truthful and finding that truth within yourself, but also within the noise.
Yeah, so true. And you're also a spiritual life coach and hemp health educator, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I help. Well, I was speaking with up and coming doctors and nurses before the whole shutdown. But now everything's online. So it's a little different, but still doing it. And when Trump put up that medbed thing and about the endocannabinoids, I'm like, oh my God, it's back. So it comes back to something I was thinking about this morning. And I was like, okay, you never know like how to like start things, right? So I was like, okay, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. So back in 2015, back in 2020, I felt like we were getting a redo for 2015. It was very strange to me. It's like everything kept coming back and circling back. And it's like, well, do you want to do this mistake again, or do you want to fix it? Like, and it was kind of like these parallels going through. And then as we were going through this whole movement, I see it's happening again. We get a redo. And it's basically, we're reliving everything that we already lived through, but with a different awareness. We're able to see it faster. We're able to call it out faster, and we're able to help each other get through it. So we're not going like, am I crazy, or did that really happen? Didn't we live through this already? So it's kind of like we're going through it at a different awareness. Hopefully that I answered your question.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That is interesting, because Jason Q does say a lot, doesn't he? They have to do everything twice.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's to learn a lesson from the first time we didn't,
we get to see if we're going to rise, right, or cower, like not all of us, but a lot of people did in 2020. They just cowered, and they were afraid, and they allowed their sovereignty to be just taken, and it boggled my mind. And I'm like, guys, it's like a 99.96% chance. Like I just didn't understand all of it, and their mental clarity and their awareness and understanding all went out the window. Like really smart people, they were just
Yeah, I have an expression for that. They lost like 150 IQ points.
Well,
right?
I think the more educated people were, the more educated people were, and indoctrinated into that system, the easier it was, it seemed like, for them to be controlled. Whether some of us, might have messed about and didn't get involved in the system and stuff like that, we were the ones that stood up and things.
I always wanted to do like a kind of like a poll and see like where everybody was at in their high school days, to if they were duped or not. It was probably all of us rebels, and we've always had it in us just to be the way we are. And I think that that's what saved us, or that's what we came here for. It's to show people how to stand up for themselves.
Yeah, it's all part of the Great Awakening, because that was the time frame when we were sort of ignited. I mean, a lot of us had been awakened, or we didn't buy into a lot of the narratives, or we saw through things, or we questioned, right? And people thought we were a little nuts and a little crazy, and we were conspiracy theorists. But then you get to the 2016-17 timeline, and all of a sudden everybody's starting to, this kind of awakened crazy group, is starting to see things a little different. We were primed for it. We were just waiting. But my turning point during the whole COVID, I had actually sold my house in January of 2020, and I had like a couple of month lapse because I couldn't get into my new house for a month, and then they were doing some construction. So I had to move in with my mom, and me and my two girls were living there, which was not easy, but that's a whole other story. And so I remember sitting every night. My mom had to watch Fox and watch the report from Trump, and Fauci would come out, and Deborah Birx would come out, and all this like stuff, right? And I remember maybe into it about, I don't know, 4 or 5 nights of watching this, because she would put it on at dinner, so you kind of couldn't escape, And I remember saying, just in my mind, like, wow, if anybody wanted to control the world, this is the perfect vehicle, a deadly virus. And that was before anything with the jab, right? It was like, I was like, what else is going to bring everyone? And I guess that was sort of my trigger of like, what's going on, and then going to the supermarket and having to wipe off pasta boxes and all this nonsense because my mother was scared and afraid. And I just, it was so surreal. Can you believe that it's only 4.5, 5 years ago? It feels like a lifetime, right?
People already forgot.
Would they remember?
Said, oh, that's so long ago. No, it wasn't that long ago. And then when it starts to creep up in the news again, people are calling it out, right? We're able to go, nah, bird flu, this flu, that flu. Like, no, we're not doing it again. So I feel like we're passing this test.
I think a lot of this digital ID push now, especially in the UK, is to give people that took the knee in COVID, and went through all that, is to give them a chance to stand up. But I do believe if they put some sort of bird flu pandemic or anything on the TV now, many people would have a mask on their face straight away.
It's sad.
It's so sad. So, Kat, you're a spiritual, coach and a bit of an intuitive as well. Did you have the feeling, because one of the things I noticed personally, when after so we were in 2020 when all that started, right? Went into, we went through that year into 2021. Did you feel like all of a sudden or somehow time was just shooting by? Like, I remember when after the election, like let's say a few months after, I remember sitting at my desk one day. I was on Twitter ranting, carrying on, was, getting
Low
right
energy, low
right
energy.
before I got kicked off. And I remember thinking, why do I feel like I aged? Like I felt like I had aged, and it wasn't necessarily physically like in my face, although I did feel like I looked a little older, but I felt this, like, what do you think what's that about? Because a lot of people have said this, the same feeling.
It was weird because it was like we were holding the line for so long and then it just broke. And then it was kind of like, not that we broke, but we kind of broke, when we were able to. I did feel it. I felt like I look at myself, I'm like, oh my God, I aged so much in 2 years.
Yes.
It was just insane. But then once I became aware of it, I was able to, I'm sorry, people might think I'm crazy. I was able to reverse it with my thoughts again and say, no, I'm not letting this take me down. It's the same with the disease or a sickness. If you identify with it, it takes you over. So the same thing was happening with that. And I kept calling back my power and calling back my energy. And being what we are, right? We also felt everybody else's everything.
Yes.
So I think it was we kind of took the brunt of it all, I feel, so they can get through it a little bit easier because we knew we could do it. And then once we got aware of it, we were able to that's not mine. Let me get rid of that kind of thing. Because I'm going to be 50 in January. I don't feel 50,
Right.
like.
No, I'm
But
61.
in
I don't feel
2021,
that
22,
my
I
age.
felt like I was 90.
Yeah.
I was having aches. Wasn't feeling good. I was just always like weak. I was like, what is going on with me? And, and it starts to make you feel like, oh, like what? Well, are you sick? No, you're not sick. You're just sick of everybody else's crap, and all the things that they were worrying about, and I was in an apartment complex at the time. So you could imagine the energies that were coming at me. And
Yeah.
I got to get out of here. This is so low energy. I can't.
There
It was
was so much. Yeah,
but
we all took on that energy, because every time you walked into a place that told you to wear a mask and there was all these people wearing masks. Every time, like here in New York, do you remember in the city? I remember one day I was just going out and I went into Brooklyn, and there's all the restaurants around Domino Park, and I'm walking around, it's outdoors, and there's like the view.
can't eat inside, but you could eat outside in a tent.
No, but they were checking. They had all the things on the outside door that if you don't have your papers, like Nazi Germany. And I just think that energy was so toxic. It was just so toxic, right?
I always had somebody standing there with a thermometer, and they always wanted to do it to your head.
Putting the thing on your head. I know.
Think about it, right? What did it look like? It looked like a gun. It
It
kind
looked
of
like a gun.
desensitized to having a gun to your head. It was just disgusting. All the
The
symbolism
symbology.
and I was like, no, you can do my wrist. And I would put my wrist out, and then people would see me doing it, and then people would follow suit. So it's like we were there to kind of guide and show people how to get through this tyranny, pretty much, because I'm like, no, you're not putting that on my head. Like, if you need to take my temperature, I'm obviously not sick, but you could do it on my wrist. Thank you.
Yeah,
And I just stopped going out because it wasn't even worth it.
You couldn't. I know. There was a video, Stu. You are so good with like videos and keeping stuff. Do you remember the meme video of the guy standing outside some building with a what do you call those things? Like the lint remover?
Yes.
Do you remember that one? And the people are going like this. They're not even thinking. And he's waving that to me was like, we've sunk so deep into being a robot just listening to what people tell us. You don't even notice it's a fucking lint brush.
And it's not even a person of authority. That's how fast it went downhill. Yeah. I showed a show a couple of episodes ago, and it was and if we want, we can maybe put the link in the comments as well.
Sure.
And it was this experiment, and it was all actors, and one person wasn't. And every time the bell rang, they stood up. Yep. And every time. And so by the end of it, all the actors were gone and they was just left with this one woman and she was doing it. And then she got all these other people who weren't actors to do it. And they were like, why are you doing that? She's like, because everybody else was.
Yeah.
It was on Brain Games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And I
mad.
was like, this is what you guys did. This is what you did. And you weren't listening to reason. You'd be like, don't stand. Why are you standing? And then there was a reluctant guy. And at the end, he finally did stand and sit down. But like every time there was a beep, it was like about a minute apart. You imagine being in a doctor's office and having to stand and sit every couple of seconds just because somebody else is doing it. Beep.
That it's so, I mean, it's so laughable now, but
Horrible.
I could not laugh at anything during that time because it was like, and then comes the election, right? Like and it's like they're tearing down the republic. They're, because we were trying to metabolize all this too, right? Because the movie had started and we were caught up in the narrative until, a lot of people from our community, we all started talking and comparing and going back to Q and all this other stuff. But you're tearing down the republic. You're making us like that feeling of being so just so suppressed with everything. And then people just not having a problem with that.
There's a meme of the Revolutionary War, and it's like they didn't revolt yet. And like, no, it's like, what's it gonna take? And it's true because we just got a little bit of our sovereignty chipped away each year, each decade, each generation, and now this generation hates America. That's up and coming, and we need to show them what it's about and be that beacon of light for them because they don't understand and they were indoctrinated and I feel so bad because so many kids are so behind right now because they took away so much from them.
Yeah.
They really did. I mean, we're adults, so we can get on with it, right? But for those poor children, again, it goes back to we got to save our children.
Yeah.
And it, the trafficking and all that stuff is horrendous, but the other stuff is everything is bad. Poisoning with the food, poisoning with the air, poisoning with the music, poisoning them with everything. They're so susceptible to everything and grab it like little sponges. And you see, like, we'll be out at a party and like this little girl's twerking. I'm like, are you insane? Like, it's so cute. I'm like, it's not cute.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything more unattractive than watch women twerk. Really.
Yeah. It's just all the brainwashing. When the most painful thing was when the school still had all the mandates for the masks, when they, and I would drop my daughter off and she'd mask up and all these other high schoolers, and they were separated and they had, they were literally boxing them off so that they could, and a lot of the parents started to, I was always on there making some comment and stuff. But the problem too is that these kids were also at that age where they're trying to fit in, right? Where it's age appropriate, where you're fitting in and you're trying to figure out individuating. But part of that development is about fitting in and finding your place.
Did your kids have a shield?
What's that?
Did your kids have the shield they had to sit behind?
Yeah. And so my younger daughter, finally, she came home after a couple, she was like, Mom, I can't. I was like, no, you're going to stay home. Just stay home. Just it's isolating, but I'm not having you be isolated in an environment that is so toxic. And she stayed home.
She's lucky to have you because a lot of people didn't know and they just went with the flow and they went with the narrative and a lot of kids are behind right now. And I don't know, I don't know how we fix it. I don't know how we can say sorry enough to them,
Well, listen, if we believe that we came in for some kind of purpose, then so did they.
Yeah.
So that was that was their job to be, to have to go through that. And I think that some way or another they'll sort it out. Look, if the food and the air and the water start to be cleansed.
Yeah.
And I think they will start to come out of whatever they're in too, because their vibration is going to start raising, even if they're unaware. Like, we purposefully try to raise our vibration and we're trying to help the world. But if they're not aware of it, it will start to happen. And some of that stuff will fall away, kind of the trauma and all that stuff.
That's something I was
that's
talking about with somebody about, with the trafficking. And I was like, oh, how could it be so this horrendous? And I said, well, maybe they understood that that's going to be a blip for them. Like, it's going to suck, but it's going to be a blip for them. They get to go home. They get to erase it. We don't know. We don't know why we volunteer for things. We don't know why we said, yes, me, but there's got to be reasons. And I'm praying that eventually we get to figure all this out. We've been lied to our whole lives.
Yeah, exactly. Those children that went through that are going to be an integral part of this. Never happens again.
That's right.
Right? Because we are the forefront of that.
Yeah.
And we're trying to bring every adult on board, and everyone at some stage is going to have to either continue to bury their head in the sand, or apologize to the people they want to apologize to. We're not all going to walk around and go, I told you so. A couple of people maybe, but that's all personal. But the children going through that, and what the parents made their children do in that, and that's all a big part of this never happening again, because it's all been documented. I started my podcast in May of 2020, and every video you talk about, Elisa, this stuff, and people doing water aerobics with plexiglass in front of them, I've got it all. It's all in my podcast, and I've saved every video as well. We could make documentary after documentary about it, but it's going to take me a long time to go through all that crap when all this is done, but I'm going to have a lot of time to do it anyway.
You're going to have to do it with a little bit of humor, because it's so dark and deep, Well,
exactly. I do think potentially we are here to soften the blow to, my t-shirt says, how do you tell someone that their whole life has been, I don't know if you can read it. Can you?
No,
not really.
No.
Read it to us.
Read it to us.
I can't see it. Right? I can't see that close. It basically says, it was a tweet in 2020. Yeah. How do you tell someone their whole belief system and life has been a complete and utter lie?
Right.
And Eyes on Q commented, our job is not to wake them up. Our job is to soothe them through the awakening process. Mm-hmm. Right? Yes. Because this is what all this seed planting is about. And what you said at the start of the show, about we all felt all drained and having vibrations and all the lack of energy and things like that. I think we were taking on board, right, a lot of their pain. Yes. Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
We were absorbing it. Whereas they're just walking along, following the narrative,
We were absorbing all that into us. That's what we're here for, and then to make room to put the light back out, to shine light. But I will say there is the humor when you look at what these people looked like. I had to go to I don't remember even why, because I never go to the doctor. I don't know why I had to go. Maybe it was for my insurance or whatever, but to get new insurance, or maybe it was a life insurance policy. Anyway, I had to go to the doctor, and I've been seeing this doctor whenever I had a cold, whatever I had. And I went, she walks in, and she's kind of small, like she's probably even smaller than me, and I'm pretty short. And she comes in with yellow tissue paper, like all over her, like a jacket of like tissue paper, with the mask, with the shield, and I was just looking at her. I'm like, this is a medical professional.
Oh my God.
Do you have no idea about microns and the size of things? Like, and I couldn't even say anything. Like, I was just dumbfounded.
At that point,
like, get me the hell out of here fast.
No matter what you say, they're not going to hear you. What could you say?
What could I say? But I didn't know if I should laugh or cry. Like, but I was like, what a ridiculous. I wish I could take a picture right now, because this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen pretty much in my whole life.
Yikes.
And she's proud, she's all protected and she's safe. And can you imagine?
Double maskers and all that. you know, and I'm not making fun of anybody.
I am.
I'm just
Because you know why? I'm going to say why.
just
I'm
trying
going to say
to
why.
understand we're
You
there.
want to be safe. You're worried. You're scared. When
Yeah.
you cross that line into the absurd, then you deserve to be made fun of because
But it wasn't their
every ounce of your common sense is gone.
But it wasn't their fault. And that's where we have to come from, that place of humility, and you know, that goes along with the I told you so's, right?
Yeah, I'm going to have to work on that.
We can laugh behind, but we're not going to do it because they feel like crap already. You can imagine you
Do you
just
think so? I want to ask you.
100%.
yes, they know they were duped and they don't know how to say it or accept it. You know, like, and they know what they did to everybody, all their loved ones, and how
What
tyrannical
makes
they
you
were.
feel so confident that you think people have that sense of awareness? Like,
Let,
because
let me just add one thing to that as well. I think a lot of people are awake now, right? But are still remaining silent because they're all going, what the fuck is that I've had with all this information coming out? Now, Elisa and I do say, we, you know, 80, 90% we're hoping is placebos and stuff out there, but there's still that worry. All these turbo cancers and all this other stuff that's coming out, and the 1,300 things on that Pfizer document.
We don't know.
But there's help. I keep saying to people, there is help. There's so many doctors, Pete McCullough and Nat Canales and all these other things. You know, I can't give advice on all that, but there is help for people, and I do get messages privately and stuff.
yeah, no, there is, and again, like, you know, I had my moment a few minutes ago.
All hope is lost there, Elisa?
What's that?
You think all hope is lost for them?
No, and I guess that was my little human anger popping up because of, you know, how we were treated and how like, so there's still some of that I guess has to be healed in me because I still get angry. However, on a compassionate level, I do know that that's what we're supposed to do, and I think if someone actually came to me who was mean and rude and obnoxious, I wouldn't have it in myself to be that way, you know, to be that way. I would want to comfort them. But I just haven't really, I'm wondering where you guys are feeling this from, because anybody I know has never really said anything to me, you know, that was in that camp. So how are you getting the feeling that there is so much regret? Like where are you seeing it?
So then them telling, it's a feeling.
It's more of a feeling.
Reactions when they're watching the news. And it's like, we went out the other day and I don't know, the topic came up somehow. And he was like, oh, we were talking to a couple we don't know, you know, and he was just like, oh, you know, he's like, we were not in a good place. Like we were just arguing all the time. It was just horrible. I'm like, yeah, I was ready to leave, but we were locked down. So, you know, what do? Yeah, we were kind of forced to stay together, but I'm grateful because now we're stronger than ever. But before that, I was like, you are so messed up. I can't even be in the same room with you. And to be in this place and coming from a place of like, I'm sorry you were duped, kind of a feeling, more so than I was right, you were wrong.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we have to start to get to, because these people, I really, and you might start to see it now. It might start to be in your awareness now. Watch people's faces. You can see it in their face. They got regret. They got like, oh God, what is going to happen to me? They don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. So it's kind of like, yeah, I feel bad for them. I really do.
Yeah. It was a tough time.
It was.
We'll
So
still have open arms after a few.
Was that?
We still have the open arms ready after a
We do. And you know, and we get to go back to our blueprints, right? And our cue drops and say, this is how we knew and this is what we were following, and trying to show them why we feel the way we felt. And, you know, he was like, oh, you just want to, it was like a political thing. And I'm like, I didn't even know half of these people were thinking like me. I was just in my own bubble. And then when I got out of all of that and I started to be a little bit more vocal about politics, I never did anything like that. I was always vocal about the harm in our food and our air and our water. But politics, I never got into that. When I got the gas thrown at me at J6, that's when the the warrior part came out, I was like, you are not doing this to people. Like, this is insane. But he thought I was doing it for a political reason. I said, no, this is for, I said, I have struggled most of my life with quote unquote autoimmune diseases. I got my body back in balance and check. And you want me to put some foreign substance? It's just not making sense to me. I said, I'm not going to wear something that's going to harm me. I'm not going to do something that's going to harm me. I said, you can choose to do that, but don't force me to do that. You know, and this is where we all have to, there's a lot of hurt still,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know how we can all fix that with each other and our loved ones. And but yeah, there is still a lot of anger and hurt, and it really did a lot of damage to a lot of relationships. You know, even
did.
like friends.
Yeah.
It did. And
But
then
on a happier note, there's 35 deltas today, and one is indictments incoming.
Yeah.
come on, let's go. Let's like jump into it.
I wanted to get off that topic because it's just so depressing.
Yeah.
And it's so, yeah, I could feel it still not
It's so
okay.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to add one more thing too. This, like you said, you made a really good point. This was never about politics.
No.
This was about how you viewed yourself. Did you view yourself as a sovereign creation of, God source, or did you view yourself as some, little pawn in someone else's game, just there to bid and do what they tell you? That now it broke into politics because certain camps were against it and certain were pushing it, but the truth is it was just about, that was probably the first time that everybody came face to face with, are you going to kneel or are you going to stand?
Yeah.
And are you willing to die? Literally, are you willing to die standing up for what you believe in? And I think all of us, without a doubt, would have taken that bullet.
Oh yeah,
100%. Yeah. James O'Keefe says, doesn't he, if you're not willing to give your life for this movement, then you are for sale.
Then you're for sale.
Any price. And just quickly say there, I think, no, the whole point of him saying never talk about politics or religion, we've been given a lesson in politics and religion. All this crap going on with the filibuster at the moment, no one knew what that was, but I know what the filibuster is now, and we were all being taught these things, and we all had a choice of, do you trust in your creator, whoever that is to you, and your immune system, or are you going to go with fucking Fauci, right, and a needle, And that was the choice everyone had.
That was one of the things I always posted. I said, I no thanks, I have an immune system.
Yeah.
I would be making jokes and be like, I got my shots today, and it would be like shots of orange juice and
yeah.
different.
And it's so true. So you're basically, that was the thing I used to say too, like, God knows what he's doing. It's just very clear. And that is that. And the really interesting part is my daughter was ready to go to college, and I actually paid an attorney to put together this whole thing. It's actually beautifully written about for a religious exemption, and how how vaccines and all that goes against all that. I mean, it was like, 10 pages, 12 pages. Fortunately, I never had to use it because they ended the mandates, and they were getting turned down anyway. The schools were just turning them down. You're not able to get a religious exemption. But however, that parts of that I used to post because if you believe in God, and so many people do, right?
Yeah.
They do. They couldn't see that what we're made of is coming from God. So why would you need anything on top of that?
Well, our body can heal itself when you give it what it needs.
Yes.
And the things that they were depriving us of were, one, love. That was a major thing. You couldn't even hug somebody for how many months?
Yes.
Oxygen, sunlight.
Sunlight.
Like, hello, we have a disaster coming on our hands. Like, but again, these smart people, Trump said we gotta put chlorine in our whatever, and I'm like, that's not what he said. But okay,
Yeah.
But again, going back to the truth, we get to see. And so yesterday they had a whole bunch of things on the news, and I was cooking and I was hearing it in the background. And I'm like, what are they talking about now? They were talking about J6 again. And they were telling them, they actually were saying that they were admitting that they cut out part of what his speech was. He basically said, we're going to go have our voices heard, peacefully and patriotically. He didn't say, let's storm the castle. Like, you know, it's just.
That's a big thing in the UK at the moment, because the BBC is really in fire for that. And, you know, it looks like Trump might sue them for $1 billion and all these things. Yeah. People are coming out. But I've said to people, keep watching. If you keep watching your news then, because the White House are in control of that, I believe, or a lot of it. And they will start flipping the script where these people have to tell on themselves. Because if you won't get it for the crazy tinfoil hatters, you're going to get it from the people that have lied to you.
That's right. It's brilliant. That is so that's the most brilliant part of everything, to have them be the ones to tell. Like when you had Schumer and some of these other people saying that tariffs were good. Remember that a few months ago?
Yeah.
So that's how it has to go, I guess, with everything, you know.
Slow and steady, but we're getting there.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Something else is unfolding every day. I'm just trying to keep everyone calm with all the little videos I put out. And look at this, because no one wants to watch a 3-hour Rambo show or documentary or something like that. But I'll cut little 3-minute bits out of it, do a little thing, and put it out. I just try and get people to watch stuff all the time. I know they are watching. I don't get many likes and love arts, but I get a lot of views, and that is what it is. That's the planting seeds. I just want to say something to what you were saying then, is that even the people that were most awake when this COVID hit, is that the main thing we all did was teach ourselves more about health. You know, because we all started buying water distillers. We learned to make homemade hydroxychloroquine. You know, we weren't going anywhere near a hospital. You know, we started looking into our food and all these sorts of things.
Yeah. I think it was the greatest time in history of people researching and learning, right? The knowledge, whether it was about the government, constitution, rights, or it was about health, wellness, about nature, about right? I think this was
Grounding.
the great grounding, all these things that we never had the time. And now all of a sudden we're just, and then we keep going further and further and further down rabbit holes. And then what do we do? Because if you pull the whole vax thing out of it and you just stick to those sort of facts, we were sharing that with everyone. And those weren't really things we were trying to wake people up. We were just so exuberant, like, did you know this? Did you know that? Or you could do this, or you could do that. And some of that stuff, I had a very open, for the most part, not when you talk about the C word, talk about cancer, nobody listens to you. But if you're talking about just basic health, and did you know if you do this, or how are you doing that? People were very they wanted that. They were like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting. Thank you. So we made a big difference by opening people's minds to how they can do things in a natural way.
And a lot of people were saying, well, I can't do this because it costs me money. It doesn't cost you money to ground.
Right.
You know, meditate, breathe. So, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of things don't cost money. It doesn't. How much money does a bottle of hydrogen peroxide cost? Which is, a wonderful thing to put on your body and prevent, cysts and things, according to what a lot of the experts say. I'm not giving medical advice. And also baking soda. Yeah. Baking soda, Epsom salt, borax. That doesn't cost a lot of money.
Where they took it, out of our environment and our awareness. It's all these things that worked.
So I guess that's the silver lining, because we were just talking about the dark side. That's actually where I think we really helped a lot of people, just word of mouth, the way you would,
and knowing what's going on in the classroom. Even that was huge.
That was hard. That was a hard one. Yeah. So let's talk about these deltas.
I'm sorry, I was distracted before because my whole screen just went blank. So I was looking for it back. I'm like, where did I go? And I just heard you guys. I know we're still on, but I didn't know.
We still saw you though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. So I was just like, oh no. I'm sorry.
I'll put them on the screen.
Nice.
That's all today's deltas. Yeah, I can't.
Bigger, I can't see. There we go. Nice.
Indictments coming.
Indictments coming.
Yeah, that is going to be nice, isn't it?
And then the Project Looking Glass was another one. I thought that would be good for the synchronicities. You know, where are we seeing similarities, right? So we talked about this a little bit when we were all just talking by ourselves, but with the George Floyd thing and how that all started, and everybody saying that they can't breathe, and then all of a sudden everybody couldn't, and everybody's in, you know. So going back and redoing everything again, and then seeing how, like, that was the first time we ever saw a murder on TV, and they allowed it. Allegedly, right? But they allowed it.
Yeah.
So then the second one was the attempted murder, right? And then the third one was Kirk, you know, and when they keep forcing us to see something and keep looking at it over and over and over again, I don't know. To me, it just seems like a psyop.
Yeah.
And I hate to sound, you know, like it's not that I don't care, is that you can't care about every little thing that's going on that's not meant for us, or we're gonna all go crazy.
Yeah. Now, have you spiritually in the last like I feel over the last couple of weeks personally, I'm feeling very emotional and I'm feeling like tired. I don't mean tired like I need to go to sleep. Not that kind of time. Like I'm so tired. When is this all going to stop? When are we going to be able to just wake up when we finish sleeping? Not because we got to get up with an alarm, and just go out and go for a walk and not have any worries, like I got to get to work, I got to do this, the mortgage. Like I'm so tired, and I never felt that way before. I just kind of plodded along, even though I knew it was all BS. I was like, whatever, what are you going to do? You know, I'm trying to focus on this. I just feel so tired, and I don't know if that's just me or if that's like a general.
It goes in waves. It goes in waves. So I feel I've done a lot of protection around me because I feel everything, right? So, but there are times where I open myself up so I can allow myself to be that channel for others to heal. Right? So that's part of what I do. And we open up in Back to Light a lot when there's heavy subjects after Mark's show. And we do like a love grid, and we replenish ourselves. So when people get that way, what I can recommend is just take a step back, ground yourself, get out of it for a little bit, rejuvenate, and then come back, because we're fatigued. We are, you know, and we were talking about this, you know, even our soldiers got a chance to have a break. We haven't had a break forever, however long you've been fighting. So like for me, I haven't had a break since 9/11. I'm tired, you know, but I've felt like I have this extra boost now because there's more people that are understanding what we're fighting for. So when you got to get off the battlefield for a minute, just don't quit, come back. You know, and that's important. And that's part of why we closed the chat down, because we're like, go outside, go be with your family, go do something other than worrying about what's going on, because you need to take care of you first.
Yeah.
And that was something that I always taught, was oxygen mask on first, you know, because you can't take care of anybody else if you're down.
It goes back to what Jesus said, right? You have to take the plank out of your own eye.
Yeah. I mean, lockdown, I was on my own all the time, sitting here under the stairs again. And, but I do a lot of cycling, and I was out, there was not a cloud in the sky because there was no planes in the sky.
Right.
I was out on my bike for 4, 5, 6 hours every day, whatever bike it was. I do off-road and on road, and it was beautiful. And when I got back, I felt so invigorated to sit back under the stairs and crack on again. And I have done for a long, long time. But I say to everyone, some people haven't got the dedication to do it like we have, and have taken themselves away from the movement and doing their own things and trying to get their lives better and stay alive while we're in this war and all those sorts of things. But I absolutely love what I do, and I don't feel tired at all. When I go to bed now, I've got an earthing sheet on my bed and all these sorts of things. So it's difficult for me when I'm cycling and stuff like that to take my shoes off and hug a tree and things like that. So for 6, 7 hours, 8 hours every night, I'm in contact with the ground through my earthing sheet.
Yes.
And I put my head on my pillow and I'm laying there and I think, I can't wait to get up before I've gone to sleep. You know?
Things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like what I was trying to say is it's not like yes, I love that too. I love getting up. I love what I do as well. But there's like I don't know, maybe because I have kids and sometimes you see like your life differently. Like when you have kids, you're like you see time differently. You know, and it's like how long, like you get reminded of how long you've been at this, or just I don't know. And then, you know, sometimes I feel like, am I doing enough? Like how do we, what more do we need to do? We need to do more because there's so much pain. There's so much that we need to fix, you know? And so that's kind of what makes me tired, because it's like, I reflect sometimes, I'm like, oops,
the light.
what happened? Oh, her light went out. What is it, on a timer?
I guess I didn't move for an hour, so I guess that's why.
It wasn't terrible though, just so you know, without the light. Like if you ever,
all right,
yeah, we still saw you. But yeah, so anyway, I think it's just it reminds me that there's probably something big coming, and I mean that in a good way. Like there's something that I think is coming. Maybe some of it's anticipatory, you know, that
it has to be. We didn't get this far just to get this far.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we've been fighting and fighting and fighting for the truth that it's inevitable. It's just a matter of when, and it's not our timeline, right? So going back to what you were saying, if you're tired, just take a deep breath, pull out a little bit, go do what you got to do to make yourself happy, you know, and just come back.
Just get off the grid. Yeah, that's really the best thing.
Yeah, it's important because so many people are just draining themselves, but then you can't give to anybody else because you're giving less of yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just come back when you can.
I'll ask you a little question, actually. In 2020, in lockdown and things, I had on about, I think it was only twice, it might have been 3 occasions, that my whole body started vibrating. Yeah. And it was a really odd, weird feeling. And I honestly thought at the time, I can feel they've just turned on the 5G. Now, subsequently, I don't know whether 5G exists, whether what they were putting in the towers was the white hats, do you know what I mean, to stop it going up 60 gigahertz and all that, you know, to de-weaponize them and stuff like that. But I started looking into it, and I bought an orgonite pendant, and it turned up and it was about this big. Well, it's much too big. So I put it on my computer there. But then I bought another one, and I've never taken this off apart from when that breaks and I put a new bit on. But that really sorted me out. Just
what is that, shungite?
Orgonite.
Orgonite.
It's got like metal copper wire in it and stuff like that. Few other bits and pieces, but what do you think about that sort of, you ever didn't?
When I was going to like parks, and I was always doing things, biking and this and that, and I don't really share this with a lot of people, but it's coming out. So I would be biking, and then all of a sudden I would feel like I just hit a wall, and then I would like kind of pass out, and then my friend would have to help me, and we would just sit down and get some water and try to get me back to normal. And one time I was out for like 3 hours.
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you do? You can't bring me to the hospital. You just, it was an energy attack. I literally could feel it. And then another time I was sitting down having a picnic, and I looked up and I saw these clouds, and they were like rainbows, and it was very weird. And I started to walk into the woods, and I felt like, don't keep going. And I did. And I didn't pay attention to that. I should have. And again, lost consciousness. That was the day I lost consciousness for like 3 hours. I was like, what happened to me in that time? Like, what was going on? I don't know.
You have no memory.
I don't want to do hypnosis and see where I went at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were getting hit by things. I don't know what.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was some sort of download. I speak to a lot of people. I had a download the other day and this sort of stuff. I don't know if it was sort of that or preparation of, you know, turning my energy or something like that. I have no idea what it was, but it was scary at first, but then it didn't bother me.
And what years were this? That
was 2020.
2020.
2020, and it might have been 21. because that was a long period of time, wasn't it? We were locked down, then we were allowed out a little bit, and then we were locked down again, and no one was allowed to go out at Christmas unless you were in a bubble of 5 and these things and all that pathetic shit.
You know, it's weird that you guys say that, because in that time I actually thought it was like an anxiety, panic breakdown. And you know, there's a lot of things going on, but I literally felt this weird energy shift. And I was in therapy because, you know, I had gone through divorce, so I was dealing with all that. But my therapist, who I just adore, helped me through like some really rough times. I just was so sad because he told me, first of all, he wasn't going to see me when everything was over unless I got vaccinated, so we could just continue doing online. And I was like, well, are you getting vaccinated? And he's like, yes. I said, so then why do I have to get vaccinated if you're vaccinated? And he's like, no, I was taking that road. And he's like, because that's the rule I have. And I said, yeah, but then that means you don't really believe in vaccinations, because if you took it and you're safe, where I could have like a gazillion diseases, you'll still be safe. So that was very like but he said to me at the time, because I was really, really having a lot of anxiety, and I didn't realize till later it had been a very intense spiritual thing that I was going through. He's like, you know, he wanted me to be on some antidepressants. He's like, I don't ever want you to come off these, because this is what happens. And I remember thinking his heart was in the right place for what he knew and how he was, but I was thinking, he doesn't understand the other side of where many of us are and what's really going on inside of us. And you can't explain that to people that are in that like intellectual school book driven, like there's a cause and effect kind of thing. And I never forgot that. And I was like, no, that's not what I needed. I just needed to kind of get through that and let everything that's happening happen. Maybe it was an upgrade, maybe, who the hell knows? But yeah, so that's interesting. That happened exactly at that same time that you guys, but I guess being in the therapeutic realm, that was the answer, you know, that was given, so to speak.
I'm glad you didn't follow his directions, because that's not the answer. And it's not the answer for anybody. And, you know, maybe if you need it for a little bit to get your
a bridge.
But I think there's still other things you can do that are more effective.
Well, I would venture to say, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I have no basis. I'm just based on conversations I hear with my kids. I would venture to say that 50 to 60% of all kids today are on some kind of antidepressant, anti-anxiety. And I do believe what they're experiencing is real, because it's the food, it's all the things we know, right? It's maybe long-term effects from, you know, we parents who did not understand vaccines at the time when they were born and they were little, right? And I think it's all 100% real, but that to me is a real epidemic.
Yeah.
And they just give it out like candy. You know what I mean? You go to the health center and it's like, oh, you're feeling anxious? Oh, you feel overwhelmed? Okay, take this. We'll start you off on a low dose and blah, 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 blah. And maybe that is the answer from the perspective that, you know, that was what they wanted. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that was exactly what they wanted. So that's the answer to the problem, but let's get rid of the problem.
It was the problem.
Yes.
And that's the issue, you know, and I did my paper in college about Ritalin, and I was so angry by the end of it. And I was just like, I don't even have kids, and I stand up more than parents do, you know?
Same.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Especially I went to all the, you know, the mask things, and I was sharing things for parents. I was like, you know, they're like, oh, how do we get you know, sorry, my brain just went. the religious and all these things, to say that. I was like, well, how do you not know this? Like, why am I doing all this research for you? But I didn't mind because I knew they had a lot on their plate. So it was kind of like, Stu, I feel like we were kind of like the fillers, right? We're like, here, you need this. We're like dishing it out to the parents. Get involved. Go to the board.
Because you do get blinded. What happens is you have children. That's such a great point that you just raised, because I think parents have traditionally gotten angry, like, oh, they don't have kids. They don't understand. That's right. They don't have kids.
We understand it.
So sometimes they can see it a little clearer because we are so consumed with, it's my child. I have to do everything to stop any kind of pain. And I'm looking for answers. And the doctor says you get in a state of fear, which is what they want. So it's a rare parent who's able to stand back and say, wait a minute, maybe there's another way. Maybe my child isn't going to die if I just let it be for a little while. I mean, I remember those nights when my infants had 105 fever. And, they're like, well, we want to make sure we get this fever down because, we don't want her to have seizures. Seizures, holy shit. What do I do? What do I give it? And the point is that, look at our great-grandparents. What did they do? They put you in ice. They put cool, right?
Fever, feet are cold.
And they'll say, get rid of the fever. Well, maybe the fever is good, but maybe, okay, you don't want it to go too high, so you want to cool the body. But, the Tylenol, and then, give a Tylenol, and then an hour goes by, you could give Motrin, and then, that whole cycle. But we didn't know. We really didn't know because we were so caught up in, my job is to just protect this child, and it takes something to get out of that box. So people like you, who were able to be so much more objective, because you didn't have that emotional tie, you know what I'm saying, was what everybody needed to kind of slap everybody out of it, so very grateful. And especially with the schools and, igniting people to go to the school boards and, because I think you get blinders on. I mean, even the most awakened, I always considered myself conspiracy theorist. I don't buy into this. But when it came to my kids, I got blinded, because what's the first thing you do? You run to a doctor, oh my God. And, I think all of us at one point or another have been duped.
Yeah. So I've got 2 nephews and a niece. I haven't got any kids of my own, but I'm doing it for them.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
We've all taken slings and arrows, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, just talking about the Q drops, the very last drop. Let me just put this on the screen.
Okay.
Right? Because this is very important, isn't it? And what do you make of this, Kat? Right, I'm sorry. People are messaging me. Go away.
Oh, that one.
What is coded in your DNA? You put it there. Why? Mankind is repressed. We will be repressed no more. Information is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Information is power. How do you protect your DNA? There is a war for your DNA. Protect your DNA. Ascension. That is important. And we're coming up on the 3-year delta.
A little breadcrumb for us, right?
Yeah.
To say, you good job. You guys protected it. And also, I don't know. Again, we don't know. I'm not. I feel things. I'm intuitive, but I'm not a mind reader, and I'm not a fortune teller. If that could, help other people understand what it is that I know and do. I feel things. I hear things, but it's not like I don't know the future, right? But with that, I felt like they were giving us little breadcrumbs, and I feel like they're going to say, "Well, this is what happened." A little bit. Give us some solutions, and then allow them to make the choice if they want to get quote unquote healed or whatever. So I think that it's been a fight for our DNA for so long, to make us not be human and not be, the way God created us, and not to get into that whole thing that we went through with the kids, again, attacking the kids.
Yeah.
Trying to tell them to chop off their parts. If that happened how many years ago, we'd be like, you insane? The parents would be locked up, right? The teachers would be locked up. That would be considered a little bit of grooming, right? But no, now it's like normal. So again, not having kids, I was able to see this, and I'm like, I saw something. Now this is going back way over 10 years ago, because that was well, let's just say over a decade ago, right? It was a poster, and it was a silhouette, and it looked like an adult, and then it looked like a child. It was the backs of them. It was a silhouette, nothing crazy, and it just said at the top, "Love is love."
Mm.
And I went, "Oh, slippery slope right there. Why are we allowing this? And why did we take away the word pedophilia? Because it's such a nasty word. I'm not calling you MAPS, minor attracted person. No, you're a pedophile and you're
Yeah.
disgusting. And we need to keep that lingo and that language, because words matter. And when you make it light and you make it something else, it gets accepted. And little by little, and we start to see, that they're talking to the children and reading books to them. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, what I was losing.
Well, I think that was the turning point for the parents to be really to say, that's it. Now you've gone too far with this crap and we're done. And that's where you had enraged, because you take it to a certain point, you have a trust, right? Oh, they go to school. Let me tell you, if I could go back in a heartbeat, I would have homeschooled my kids. Homeschooled them and not put them into the indoctrination camps that I put them in, because it changed them. It changed them.
My name is Alex Ross.
And it's but you said something I was just going to say about the kids. Oh, so no names. I don't even know this person personally. It's somebody I know knows. And her daughter decides that she's really a boy, starts getting hormones. I guess she changed her name, of course, to a boy's name, and everybody had to call her that. And literally, she still had breasts and a beard. That is a freak.
Well, that's what, yeah. And they were making it normal, and they were confusing children. Again, we got to protect our children. And
what do children know, right? We all went through, I don't know if you did. I went through like a tomboy period.
I wore my Doc Martens, and I didn't cut off body parts, we just.
No, I'm saying like you go through a tomboy, if you're, and guys, I don't know, maybe they experiment, or you're still forming, you're still trying to find yourself. You're still
indoctrination on them. And it was an agenda. Now you're starting to see, it's all over the news now, that these people are regretful. They're just sad. They were never told that they're never going to be able to experience sex the way that they should have been able to. They're not going to have feelings and like
sensations, right?
Sensations, and it's like now they're starting to speak up. So part of me is hoping, praying that this is part of the agenda as well, to wake up the parents, and that none of this really happened. I know it did, but I'm praying that it's not as rampant as we think it is.
Right, right.
I'm praying that, again, it's something to shine the light on. This is what we lived through. This is what's been happening behind the scenes, going back to what we talked about when we first started. This is we've been living through this. You guys were not aware of it. Now you're going to be aware. Now it's going to be right in your face.
So here's an interesting thing that Stu and I always talk about, right? We talk about this idea that we had people that we really admired, liked, actors and celebrities. And then they showed a side of themselves that we hate, right? We're like, ugh, I can't even watch that person. I can't even listen. And then last week we were like toying with the idea, what if that person is, like they say, a good guy playing a bad role, right? Which I never thought of, right? Because we're all being psyoped. Look at all the celebrities that are become very public, and they have a girl and they have her dressed as a boy, and then they have a boy and they have the long hair and the dresses, right? And I'm wondering now, we were sort of told or led to find out that they made deals and they did this and I'm sure that may have occurred, but I'm wondering of late, the ones that are so out there and so in the public, and you see the pictures all over, the magazines and stuff. If they're not part of,
sadly.
What's that?
It could be the Great Awakening, sadly. It's shining the light on what we.
But maybe they're actually part of the movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's shining light using them on what was done in the dark.
Yeah. Exactly.
done
Because
in
what
our
they say,
past.
55,000 actors, where are all these actors coming from? What makes a great movie? Great actors. So I'm just wondering if these people, because we always talk about and we say like we hate them, right? But if they're really not bad guys, and then look at what they've given up and look what they've been willing to kind of be put in the spotlight as an asshole, basically,
And
because
again, it
they're
goes
part
back
of the
to your
movement.
truth, right? So how did you feel about that person before someone else told you not to feel that way about them?
Well, the main thing we were saying there is that the people we hate so much now
Might be good guys.
to be our favourites. You
Yeah.
know, look
Why would they use them?
at really, but Tom Hanks, Whoopi Goldberg,
Shocking.
Robert De Niro, right? Madonna coming out against Trump and all that. You know, and all these people
She
that
said she
you
wanted to blow up the White House and nothing happened to her.
Right.
Come
Right.
on.
That's kind of interesting, right?
Literally said that.
So you got to wonder, who's this team and how come, like we were saying this, it's again this 5D chess. On the one hand, we see that maybe there was a big portion of them that were doing adrenochrome and into all this pedophilia. What's that?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But then all of a sudden, and so we're sort of thinking like, okay, so there's no one there because maybe they're gone, right? That's why Hollywood seems to be so, not a lot of movies, not a lot of stuff going on.
You
But
notice
what
that
if
there's, like, not that many movies out there anymore. No one
right? But
out.
what if that's because they're busy? What if they're working, for the white hats and they're doing jobs, but the studio situation isn't happening. I don't know. It just there's so many what ifs,
We don't know. And praying we find out soon, right? Because God, yeah.
Do you think we're going to really find out though?
Well, in the jobs it says that the choice to know will be yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there'll be, well, when they were all talking, and definitely with Kash Patel, he was saying we're going to have this kind of D-class, if you will, and you guys can find out whatever you want to know, because we're going to be the most transparent, organization. And they were going to make different things for the people to know. But I'm like waiting for this. I'm like, where is it? Is it here already? We just don't know because we weren't told, or because how many times are we told things are going to be declassed?
Yeah.
Well, we are seeing little drops of it every single day, aren't we? But we want it. That's for us, right? And even though the movie isn't for us, we are still paying attention to it.
That aren't
So frustrated. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this movie is for the normies, right? To wake them up at a slow pace so they don't all come out their houses waving sticks and pulling doctors out of fucking surgeries and things like that organically.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating watching it from one side and all that, but it's also brilliant watching it. But I've been hearing about the arrests are coming for nearly 30 years now. Watching Dave X22 and all these things, and Benjamin Fulford years ago was talking about all this stuff. And I can't wait. But I understand the process of why it's being done like it is, as we all do that follow the Q drops. Because, right, Dave and Rambo, right, they did an hour and 40 minutes the other day just going into 20 or so of the Q drops from 7 years ago. And it's all happening now. We were given. Have you ever heard that Bria call in to talking about the 3-act structure of the Q operation?
Yeah.
That is perfect. I've re-put that on my Facebook and pinned it, and
it's clipped because so people can find that little segment. But but it's true because it's the hero's journey. We're all part of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I have to disagree with you guys, because even though we are way ahead and we can see the movie, we're still being psyop too.
Of course.
I mean, there are so many things that even this discovery about the actors, right? Like, there's so many, it's just so brilliant. And, I was watching Lewis Herms's video again on deuterium. And I was thinking to myself when I was reading it, I was thinking, like, here is a situation that most people don't know about, right? And what if that's already been done? What if it is safe again? But they have to, again, show us. But
Figure it out.
I'm still wondering,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, this has to be fit. Like, we still get our moments of,
Right.
like it was making me feel very not confused, just like, oh shit, you try everything.
Again. Yeah. Right. I mean, the whole thing with Charlie, right? I know what I feel and know, but it still was like, oh, somebody that was so profound in this movement and helping the kids. That's why it hurt me. It was like a character's taken off the board. I'm like, but it wasn't. Thousands more were added to the board.
Yes.
Exactly.
So his voice got even bigger without him being here.
Exactly.
It's that whole future proofs past. Where are we seeing these synchronicities that we're reliving through?
And, I was watching a Guy Ritchie movie last night. I don't know if you guys ever saw Rock and Roller.
No.
Great movie.
Yeah, I'm in it, and Gerald
I
Butler.
love Mark Strong. I love Tom Wilkinson. It was a great movie. But there's an interesting line in it because the rock and roller, he kind of fakes his death, and his record sales go up. And so it's sort of on that, like, when you take someone off the board, there's going to be more attention to grow that. Oh, I know where I was leading with that whole deuterium thing. So I'm thinking about this. So like this, we go down another rabbit hole. Like, when you think about the water, when you think about the ginormity of everything that's been done to us to attack our DNA, to even the very well structured, disgusting horribleness of trafficking and adrenochrome, it kind of leads me down. We're just not I don't mean emotionally and spiritually. I mean even physically. We don't have the physical abilities to do these things, and it leads you right to the alien agenda. Because these things are so big, and that is such a we were taught, like, that's, you don't, it's not, but who could do this stuff?
Right.
How much power do humans have? Like, yeah, we have a lot of power in our manifestation and in our consciousness, but you know what I mean. We don't have power to control this global effect. And so I just think that that's the biggest part of the war that we've been trying to fight, and why the children were the part of it that they were targeting so much, for a variety of reasons.
Definitely think that the children were the target. So if we were the target, the children wouldn't know, or not that they wouldn't care, but it wouldn't have that big of an impact, right? But also going back to what Stewie was saying is that imagine if everybody woke up at the same time, the chaos that would create, and the vibration of the planet would go.
It would explode. Like, yeah, we'd explode almost.
We wake up in these little tiny waves. And then this wave helps the next wave, when we get bigger and bigger, and nothing can stop what's coming. It's a tsunami at this point. It's just a matter of when are we hitting the shore.
Yeah.
We're in the ocean and we're creating that wave, and we're gradually gaining momentum. We're gaining other people, and we're gaining, more souls that we're helping, save and heal. And a lot of people are getting away from drugs and alcohol and different things and dependencies that they were doing, because they know that that's not within their truth, or within the right way for them. So as we go through and we're gaining this momentum of the wave, I could just see the tsunami finally coming to a head, and it's going to hit from every which angle, and it's just going to be like, boom. But it's going to be enough people are going to be aware that when the other people get slammed with it, in my opinion, is that we're all going to be able to be there to balance that energy.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if that happened when we wanted it to happen, because you go back and you look at the inauguration.
Now, do it. Where is it? Where are they? Why aren't they arresting? Why isn't this
Soldiers
exploding?
turned their back to the president.
Yes.
Never, ever.
That's what really shook me.
Watch it again. Jill's shoes change color. Mid-walk. I'm sorry. You don't change your shoes to put on more uncomfortable shoes. You change your shoes to put on sneakers or flats. Like, you're not changing your shoes just to change the color. So that was pre-recorded.
Yeah.
So these are all the things that we can go back and say, okay, you think we're crazy? Go and look at the footage. It's not mine. It's not doctored. It's not AI. Go back and look at your footage. And now they're going to start to see, oh, yeah, they did turn their back on them. Wow, the military did come behind Trump when he said he's returning it back to the people. Well, who's the people? Who's the military? We the people.
Right.
Yeah.
We are the military. If we didn't step up and volunteer, the beautiful veterans and people that are in the service, right, they wouldn't have an army. They don't have anything without us. So when he says we're giving it back to the people, the military were behind, I was blown away. I'm like, this is so great. People need to go back and listen to
that whole experience
whole
of
thing.
the inauguration and not only just from his, from Trump's inauguration, the
I
first
can play that for you if you like.
but the Biden, love it. But the Biden show, right?
Freaking Hunger Games. All of their outfits look like the
Lady Gaga.
Did you see
Hillary
that?
Clinton was there. Bill Clinton was about 8 foot taller than her.
I'm saying there was so many signs and they still
The
didn't
girl
get it.
disappears behind Biden. She just disappears.
Yeah.
And the weather was
They
different,
must-
wasn't it? The
If
weather
I
was
was
different.
doing that, like if I was behind it,
Leave crumbs so we can say, see, it's a movie. See,
not only that, to tell other people, but for us, like if I was producing that movie, I would be like, but are these people blind? Like, you know what I mean? Because making it, you'd say, oh no, you can't put that in. It's so obvious. Or you can't put that in. It's so, and nobody got it. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm in the dark again. What the hell?
That's why they're doing it. Fourth psychological operations are doing it like that. And I do say as well, Kat, that is she there? Can she hear us?
I think she could hear us. She's just trying to fix this light or yelling at someone, maybe.
Oh, it's on. We'll wait till she comes back.
I would love you to play that.
Let's play it.
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs. And while they celebrated in our nation's capital, there was little to celebrate for struggling families all across our land. That all changes starting right here and right now, because this moment is your moment. It belongs to you.
I love it.
That's brilliant.
Let me ask you guys.
I'll
When
just-
go ahead.
Can I say one thing there? Because he had military intelligence standing behind him and something
I
general.
wish I was a lip reader. I could see what the guy was saying.
Yes. And the guy, who's the guy that walked up the steps at the very beginning of that?
Well, in that as well, right? The main guy that came out and told the military, "We're done now, go back."
Yes.
Had a complete white hat on. Did you know that? You'll have to go back and watch that, Elisa.
Yeah, I have to watch it.
But
I didn't notice.
I think the main point of that is, and what we've been going through the Biden show and devolution and all sorts of stuff, is that Trump was going, we'll give back the power back to you, the people. Now, the people haven't done a lot with it, have they? We all need to rise together, mass non-compliance. But I believe this military, and this is Q.1 140, I think, military civilian alliance, and the military are coming down from the top, and we've got to rise up and meet them, because when they get rid of all these governments and this medical and all this sorts of stuff, the people have to be ready and willing to take this power on board that's given back to us, you know, so that we never let this happen again, and we can govern ourselves, right, in a new system of hopefully common law and cause no harm, loss or injury and all these sorts of things. But the people aren't ready for it yet, and I believe the military are gauging this, whether they're running up supercomputers and all these things.
Yeah,
you know?
and we've never done it. That's why people don't know what to do. So
Exactly.
we've been getting a crash course in the Constitution since Trump walked down, came down the escalator.
100%.
We've been
Exactly.
getting that crash course of how do we not really govern ourselves, but because we, but how do we use our Constitution, our contracts that we made with these people who should have been there for a few years, not their lifetime, to rule over us. And, we need to stand up and say, you know what? People are living a little longer now. Maybe we need terms, right? Like people need terms, and we need to have it be where you can't get into a place too long, because that's what breeds greed and negativity and all that. So I think that if we went back to the way that it used to be, where people would come in, they would serve, they would leave, just for the betterment of the country. It wasn't betterment for their pockets, but that's what had turned into. And that's why I was so excited when I saw like Doge come out and everything. I'm like, Doge, everybody, like, let's get rid of everything. And then you see them going after Snap. And I was like, this is great, because there's so many people riding the system that don't belong on it.
Yeah.
And that's just become, they're like, what am I going to do now? I'm like, well, do what the rest of us have been doing, struggle or figure it out.
Yeah. And it's going to be great as well if we do move into some sort of blockchain voting system where some politician or someone can say, right, we're going to do this, and everyone in America, whatever country you're in and all that, votes on their phone immediately, and it comes through. That's 89%. Say yes, that's 17.
And it's interesting because with that way of voting, doesn't it become logically more important about your community, right? So now, if everybody is like that expression, all politics is local. If everybody's taking a bigger, if they're not keeping us always focused on the national, and then we are able to now say local, like, do we want to have, wonderful gardens, public gardens where people can go and we all go and get our food from, and like things that affect us. If everybody's doing that in their own, then the federal government is exactly just the small amount that, kind of what it was meant to be, and everything else is local. Because if we're all taking care of each other locally, we don't need to worry about, the bigger picture to the extent that they've made us think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because they were only supposed to do a few jobs.
Yeah.
And they took over, and then they made all these alphabet corporations, and then they hid everything, and then they money laundered everything. And now seeing all that again, it's what has been happening, but now the light is shown on it to say, this is what we've lived through. It's not brand new. This is nothing new. Everything we're going through and that we see now, it's not new. This has been happening for decades, and it's just now the light is shown on it and saying, do you guys want to change, or are you going to keep it status quo? Like, are we going to stand up, or are we going to allow this keep happening? And I know more and more people are standing up every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was speaking to
People are
my
like,
friend.
I'm not paying my taxes. Screw that. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm just saying people are saying that they're not going to do that. I'm not putting, and then people are like, oh, this and that. I said, I don't like to fund wars. Do you?
You didn't say I'm not a tax advisor there, Kat.
I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not giving any advice. I'm just saying that people are making that decision now for themselves, and now they're trying to figure out how do they get out of their property taxes and, common law. Let's go back to it.
Yeah.
That's what it was. They took over so much of our rights and our sovereignty. It's just disgusting when you think about it. And I don't know. When I was a little girl, I used to always tell my mom, like, Mom, there's going to be world peace. She's like, you're living in a dream fantasy world. I'm like, maybe I am, but I feel like it's going to happen. And you're watching it unfold, and it's just so beautiful.
It
And
is
she
beautiful.
actually wrote in a card to me when I turned, what was it, a couple of years ago. She's like, I see what you're saying now, and I'm grateful that you had that vision of, peace. And I said, we have to, because if everybody says no, it's never going to happen, guess what? It doesn't happen.
Manifest. Yeah.
Law of
That's what they've
attraction.
used us for. They've used us to manifest their satanic agenda.
Yep.
Plain
Greed.
and simple.
Greed.
Keep us in fear.
Yep.
And manifest those low vibrations and helplessness. And what are you supposed to do? What are you going to do? And kept us numb.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let me ask you guys a question. This is like sort of related, but not. We know that the military has gone up against the cartels, right? And there's a lot of mixed information, that we've gotten, whether, China and some other countries, like all that migrations, were they really there to help, in a military capacity? And I think it goes back 2 years that we were hearing the rumors of that the cartels were really being taken down militarily, right? If that's the case, let's look at the fact. And then, of course, we have Afghanistan and some of these other areas, right, where they were growing poppy for cocaine and all that. Like, if you look at it logically, if all that's taken down, then we shouldn't have a drug problem, right? We shouldn't have a drug problem, because where are you going to get drugs if there's no drugs that the CIA and all these other organizations put together to keep us in this state of numbness, right? I mean, really, if you get right down to it. So where do you think we are today? Because
we're in the replay.
Still drug there's still people that have addictions. Where are they getting their drugs from?
I think we're in a replay. Like, there's still some available, because you can't just cut everything out, right? But eventually,
that was already in the system.
It's already in the system. I don't think
Okay.
it's anything new, and that could be why a lot of people are not going to, a lot of people are getting sober. They really are. Getting off drugs, they're getting off the alcohol, they're getting
Now, do you think that's because it's not available, or because the vibration's raising, or both?
a bit of everything, right? Because if you can't get it readily available, what are you going to do? You're going to become a criminal? If it's not, it used to be you just, I never went and bought it. But if you could go down the street and buy it, or someone comes to your house and delivers it, now you have to go and be on the dark web or wherever you got to go and find. It's a little scary for people. Maybe it's not as incentivized as it used to be. Like, it's not as easy. It's not accessible. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not.
Yeah, none of us know.
I don't know anything. But what I'm just thinking logically. So when they took everything out, I think that the stuff that's still in circulation and whatnot. Now, there's always going to be ways where criminals are always going to be criminals, right? But if we get to a place where we get back to the rule of law, where they know that there's going to be consequences to harming somebody, because that's harming somebody. That's if you're giving somebody drugs, that's
violating them. Yeah.
Whether they're doing it to themselves or not, they are. But if it wasn't,
you're helping them to have access to that,
yeah.
Right?
So I think that by having, I think we already won this. I think it was already over before it began. I don't think they would have started to tell us things before anything, because all it takes is one person to ruin the whole damn plan and unravel and all that.
They said they'll never tell any military plan again. And
I actually clipped that clip too, and I put that up all the time. People are like, oh, I also made a meme, and it's a little girl, and it's like, it'll take as long as it needs to take, and then people shut up.
Yeah,
you could say one more person, stop being selfish. Yes, I understand you're struggling. We're all struggling in our own ways. But stop being selfish and just take a moment and pray for these children that are going through what they're going through. It's just horrendous. But I think that with the drugs, I think that I just don't see it as bad. And again, it could be acting, right? Like, you see these people out there and they look like they're.
Well, I'm talking a little bit from personal experience with someone very close to us who struggled and in and out of.
But it's not as readily available anymore, is it?
Rehab. So that's my point.
Yeah.
Having come out of rehab, trying to reassimilate into society and, build self-esteem and build self-worth again, right? Because doesn't it just strip every ounce of self-worth? I'm wondering if that person is still inclined, right? Because people fall off the wagon and stuff like that. What will it be like in the next year. Let's not say today, but in the next year versus the number of years before where it was very accessible and there were so I'm just was throwing that out because I'm seeing it very positive that the supply has to be going down, has to be going down. And hopefully with the way we're all trying to raise the vibration, and it is raising, that person will be filled more. And I'm talking about anybody who knows anybody, right? There's still lots of people who are struggling with that.
Right.
And that they don't want that anymore too as their solution,
Yeah, because they're going to feel fulfilled because we're not going to be poisoned, by our air, our food, our water. And you look at the food's already being taken care of.
Yeah, I believe that 100%.
Makes me feel like the water already was. And that whole scare of whatever they were saying was in the water was so we can say, well, what was in our water?
Yeah.
Because every time I smelt my water, it smelled like chemicals. It doesn't anymore.
Yeah. It's
when I
really
was growing up, I had well water, and state forced us, or the city forced us to get the city water. And it was like, why? Well, crap that was in there, I guess. It smelled like I have chemical sensitivity, so I can smell things from a mile away. And I'm like, I don't want to drink this water. It smells nasty.
Yeah. I have to tell you a funny story. I was in a networking group about a year and a half ago. Super nice people. I just went to one meeting, like to try it out, see if I want to be in it. And there was a lovely woman in there. She was a dentist, and she was talking about treatments. And then I'm listening to her. I'm like, oh, she's really cool. She's really nice. My brother-in-law's a dentist, so I'll never use her, but it's nice to see people like this. And then she says, it's just that like Nassau County doesn't have fluoride in the water. If we could get that here, it would be so much more helpful for people. And I was like, did I just hear that? Yeah. Like, am I going crazy? Did she actually just say that?
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Great awakening.
Exactly. I think that if you listen to JF&On and Sapioplex, obviously you're saying a lot of this is already done, that they go into this in quite detail, that they think most of this, even though we've had to go through a lot of shit and awakenings and learning, that most of this was taken care of before that first Q drop came out.
Totally.
And you can understand that because they would not interfere with the plan. It says in the Q drops, doesn't it, at this stage as well, we are far enough along that you cannot take the course off the plan or whatever. We just saying.
Where was that? What was that?
Look at it.
For anybody who wants to, I think it's important to put that.
It's like what you were saying as well is that.
Give me a keyword, Stu. I can look it up.
We are far enough along, and you'll find that.
You were saying it was a decode, though, that someone did?
At this point. No, JF&On and Sapioplex are just saying that they believe most of this was already done before that first Q drop came out, because they couldn't have, risked any sort of plan given. We were in the Q drops, the enemy was in the Q drops. Everyone was trying to decode them. And I said to Elisa, I believe we were used by the White Hats to put out these, date fag and all this stuff. And this is going to happen on this day.
And that's great disappointment. Stop it.
Yeah, to throw the enemy off. But I was talking to my mate in Italy yesterday, and I said to her, if you found out, or people learn that we have been abused and controlled and all this sorts of stuff, and our bodies poisoned for hundreds, if not thousands of years, say 2,000 years, right? If you learned that, and that was the truth, would you care in any way, shape or form, really, how the White Hats have dismantled this operation in, say, 8-9 years, right?
Not for us.
Whatever they had to do, because they are reversing everything we believe we thought we knew to be true.
And how do we know it's 8-9 years too?
No, I believe, since the Q drops came out, and Trump, I'm talking, because Trump was fake news and all this stuff. And we started, oh yeah,
Yeah.
What's this? I'm in the UK. I knew Trump was a bit of a businessman and a bit of a man on the telly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise, I've been banging on to people about this since 9/11. Wake up, what are you going to do? Look at this, 9/11, loose change, all these sorts of things, zeitgeist movies, everything. Alex Jones, David Icke in the 90s, I was listening to him. Whether I listen to him now or not is another story. But I've been banging on to people for so long, being banned from talking about the Illuminati at parties and things like that. It was doing, it's hard work. But since Trump came out and Q, we have been reinvigorated in this movement, and we can see the plan, right? Yeah. And the people that say, "Oh, you're trusting the plan," talk about Operation Trust and things like that. Right. They haven't got a clue. Just say to someone, "What is the plan?" Then I can't answer.
Operation Trust. They told us to stand by. Q makes us think. Q makes us research. Q makes us dig. So it's defunct right there.
And what's your plan? That's another one. Okay, this is the plan I'm
following.
Are
the plan.
But to people, what's your plan? The government telling you what to do, blindly acquiescing to what you're told what to do? Is your plan wanting to pay taxes? Is your plan wanting to have, be sick by the time you're 60 or 70, you're on 8,000 Medicaid? Is that your plan? Because my plan's a little different. So you might want to check it out.
Yeah. So guys, the drop is a Delta from November 1st, 2017, and it's 21. And it says, I've dumped some crumbs like this over the weekend, which started the intense shilling. At this point, we are far enough along. You can paint the picture without risk of jeopardizing the operation.
Yeah, it's getting on the screen there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was right at the start.
Yep. I think it was like October or something.
November the 1st, 2017. Mm-hmm. So that was only October. How many days in October?
October was when it started. Yeah.
21st drop. October the 28th they started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's going back to they would not, and that's one of my favorite clips of Trump. I don't know if you have it. And he's like, we will never tell you when we're going to attack, but attack we will. I'm like, yeah.
Here we go. I'll play that, yeah.
Productive it is for the United States to announce in advance the dates we intend to begin or end military options. We will not talk about numbers of troops or our plans for further military activities. Conditions on the ground, not arbitrary timetables, will guide our strategy from now on. America's enemies must never know our plans or believe they can wait us out. I will not say when we are going to attack, but attack we will.
Oh, yeah.
You guys, go back. Look on the flags, the crumpled. I don't know if it's just me or I'm being but it looks like a Q with the arrow.
Could I play that again then? We got loads of time, haven't we?
Productive it is for the United States to announce in advance the dates we intend to begin or end military options. We will not talk about numbers of troops or our plans for further military activities. Conditions on the ground.
I can see that.
It looks blurry to me. So
like the rope. It looks like you can see the braided rope and then the arrow coming out.
I think I need to find a screenshot and zoom in and have a little look. But yeah, it's brilliant. Even now, it's all over the news that the military is going into Venezuela. Do you think the military is doing something somewhere else?
I think the military has just always been secretly behind the scenes, and now it's okay and allowed for them to be present. And I think it's giving people a sense of security because it has, if you think about it, it's gone off the rails, and the things that people were allowed to do and allowing criminals out and just all this crazy stuff that we went through. It's just, yeah.
But it does feel like we were saying before that there's a timing of each truth that they're putting out, and then you just don't hear about it that much anymore. Like we were saying, the trans agenda, the different things with the food,
It just goes away.
and then it's just gone. It's like
Wait.
big, it poofs up, and then it goes away, and then we're on to the next thing, right? Like warp speed. They're just bringing it out fast and furiously.
Stu, pull up this one, 2478 as a delta for today. If you want to read that one.
That one there.
Yeah.
Let the unsealing begin. Let the declass begin. Let the world witness the truth. We, the people, justice under the law. Don't forget, Trump has said all the way through this, law and order. It has to be done by the book. It has to be done by the rule of law. And, I've said as well before that if there's a lot of talk that the White House had control of Obama in his second term, but if Obama did do all these secret pardons, right, they've had to recapture all these people. They've had to. Trump says, doesn't he, about stealing the diamonds, you've got to give them back, right? They had to catch them, but show the people.
Well, they also had to have them know that they were caught and then continue doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And now now you're breaking the rules. Now you're breaking the law. Now you're in trouble if you get caught. And that's another thing. But yeah. Oh, I was thinking about something because the other day on the radio, I don't know why they were talking about this, but they were going and they were talking about how everybody's complaining that nothing's happening with the courts and this and that. And he basically brought up O.J. Simpson, right? He brought up Lorena Bobbitt, and he brought up Joey Buttafuoco and all that stuff, the crazy stuff that we went through on Long Island. And he was just saying, like, we have to make sure that there's no loopholes. We need to make sure that we're doing everything by the rule of law because we can't let them slip through. This is our one and only chance. And I'm like, why is this guy talking about this right now? He's talking about O.J. Simpson, he's like, but again, it's proving to us what we've already lived through and what we missed. So we get to go back and watch different things and different experiences and episodes and even movies you watch differently. You watch it with different eyes and understanding and awareness. And you can understand it at a different level now. You go, oh my God, they were telling us right there. It's just remarkable. I just love the synchronicities and matching everything up.
There's a reason there's 600,000 sealed indictments.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
Trouble. And rightfully so, because they have been stealing from the people for way too long, and it's time. I mean, that was a great one. We have a couple of other ones. Enemy at the front door, USS, stay alert, prevent travel. Where are we seeing travel being prevented right now?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we've got the National Guard stationed everywhere, haven't we?
What's that?
We've got the National Guard stationed everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Something big is coming. You can feel it, can't you?
I can't wait. I was so excited when Mandani got elected. Like I woke up, I was like, yes, the shit show is starting. And it's so funny. Did anybody think I mean, average people, why, if you're Trump, are you making a choice between the communist and the bad Democrat? You have a Republican candidate. Why aren't you getting behind him? Why aren't you focusing on him? Right. But no.
All by design.
Yeah.
Enjoy the show.
Oh, this is good. New York is going to we have like a front row seat here because this shit show is going to be fun.
I just.
You get what you voted for. People are going to be shown, aren't they?
But you know what it is? Everybody's like, oh, you guys voted for this. And I'm like, no. These are selected. Do you not
That's
see?
right.
You think we would vote a communist in? Like,
but what kills me is why aren't the normies?
I don't know.
Saying this is absurd. Cuomo, was involved with all these deaths that happen in nursing homes. And this guy, who is he?
Yeah.
And
Like,
Cuomo's
they're just like, oh, I gotta go vote, and I just
Cuomo's just come out and apologised for that as well, hasn't
yeah,
he?
he gave a whole sentence, right? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, thanks. That's okay.
Yeah.
Like, and people, I just, is it part of it's just this spell has to be broken. It's so bad here in New York. It's so satanic, and so dark. And I mean, I don't know about you, Kat. I'm saying because we live here. I used to love going into the city.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, I'm going to see a Broadway show. Oh, a restaurant. If I cringe, I had to go there to go to the hospital for my boyfriend's mother. And I told you I was flipping out there. I was like,
Ground
it's
yourself.
dark. It's really gross.
I used to enjoy it too, and it was something that I looked forward to, and I would go at least once or twice a year. We would go around Christmas time. I have no desire to be anywhere near that place, and it's pretty much a lot changed after 9/11. And then I would go like once a year with friends just for their birthday dinners and stuff like that. But I never had that desire of like, I want to be in the city, like how I used to feel. I used to have this calling to be there. Now I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to be on a subway. I don't want to be near anybody crazy. I was watching something before we came here. It was like, I think it was on your channel, the New York thing. And it was like, this dog is on, oh my God, on the subway. And this person's walking somebody like a dog. And the dog's looking at the person like, what in the heck? I think it's on your
Yeah, I saw that. I caught that. Someone put that on there.
it's on your Telegram.
And it's just so
I've got-
dirty and smelly too.
I think I've got that video of New York stuff.
That actually disturbed me.
I was like,
I don't know if it's real, if it's set up, but it just the whole thing. By the way, I looked up at the clock when you were just talking before about not wanting to be in New York, and it said the amount of time that we've been live, and it was 14444. It was just weird. I just glanced up,
and it was 12 because it's 12:16 now. So.
Yeah, this is a video I've seen. I don't know if this is one you're talking about, but
yeah, that's the one.
I was going to ask you about this.
Is this real, or is this like a set somewhere?
I'm asking you.
It's been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. It's been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. It's a new soundtrack. I could dance to this beat. Forevermore. The lights are so bright, but they never blind me. Welcome to New York. It's been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York. When we first dropped our bags on apartment floors, took our broken hearts, put them in a drawer. Everybody here was someone else before, and you can want who you want. Boys and girls and girls.
No.
I
mean, we have AI. Could it have been AI generated?
Well, it could be, but I'm asking you. I mean, I haven't been on the New York subway.
I haven't seen anything like that between you and me. I've seen peeing. Yeah, I've seen that.
But do the dancing and things. They think it's their Broadway area. I've seen that, but as far as the other stuff, I don't know. I haven't been there in so long. I haven't been there since like 20.
Probably a good thing. I mean, I don't want to go to London. I feel the same, really. It's just too busy I don't want to be anywhere near it. You know, all this stuff going on with Sadiq Khan and stuff like that. Obviously, a lot of people do go to London. And I think a lot of places are being made out to be worse than they are on the mainstream media to push this narrative to get people to stand up and fucking do something, you know?
Yeah. No words.
I know. It's just
I'm embarrassed to be a New Yorker if that's the real thing. I mean, I have seen, not even on the subway, but I have seen like the furry thing. I know that that's a thing here, and you know, I don't know.
It's bizarre, but that's one of the reasons. Little plug
in public, like people don't even get dressed anymore. Like slippers are normal.
Yeah, what's that about?
A little like, I don't even know. I'm embarrassed when I leave and I'm not done up at least,
A little bit, right?
Little-
A little bit.
At least put your put pants on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the reason that that Donna Farrar and I have really said we need to bring some awareness of some of this truther stuff to New York. So we did, the New York Awakening Summit last month. Now we're going to be doing one in April, which is going to take place in Long Beach. I think the weekend for that is April 11th and 12th. I hope I have that right. I don't know if that's the Saturday and Sunday. So, we've got a great lineup. I'm not ready to actually announce who's coming yet, but we've got a lot of people and continuing to get more. And Stu is coming over. He's going to risk life and limb to come over here to the States and New York, of all places.
Right. Well, look,
It's not like that. It's not like that where you're going.
I haven't been on holiday properly for 5 years. I was cycling in the Alps in 2018. I was going in 2020, then COVID arrived. But I don't want to compromise my position in any way, really. And I love my life. I enjoy it here anyway, so I don't need to go and lay on the beach for 2 weeks. But I don't want to be forced to put a mask on to go to a restaurant or anything like this. But we've all got a bit of food stocked up and our cryptos and gold, silver for whatever's coming, and it's nice to be in your own place and stuff. But I know that if I come to America, 3 things. 1, I'm going to be surrounded by Patriots. 2, you've all got loads of food ready. And 3, you've all got lots of guns. So it should be all right. We haven't got anything like that here. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great. We're going to announce more. And then, Kat, we haven't even spoken because I want to get you more involved. You attended the one we had last month, but we'll see.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And that's the whole point. We just have to keep bombarding and talk about these difficult subjects, talk about the subjects that people aren't aware of. And, hopefully we are going to bang away at local politicians and local news to say, you need to participate. You need to be there in some way. You need to promote, because if you're not, then what are you doing? And what side are you on?
And it's going to be showing everybody that they have, 1, a voice, and 2, you need to get involved, because everybody has to have eyes on everything in order for this to never happen again. Because you may see something I miss, right? And Stewie may be like making a connection, and I always feel like we all have a piece of the puzzle. Yeah. And like, Stewie, the way you're seeing something, because that's what happens in the chat, right? People are like, oh, that's not blah, blah. I'm like, just share your ideas. I said, don't share this video, right? Share why you're sharing the video, because why you're sharing that video may be the link that somebody's missing in that piece for them, right? So it could be like, I think they're going out again. It's hard to.
They must be on some kind of timer. Like,
never happened before, and I've been in here for like 3 hours. I'm in the studio, guys. I apologize. Anyway, I'm waving my arms around.
Yeah.
It's motion.
Yeah, motion.
So why is Kat being crazy, waving her arms around so the lights don't go out?
So everyone's got to get involved at some stage, and every video I share, I do try and put an explanation on it, or come on, people, you need to stand up. This is with everything I do. But what do you think the 4 to 6% is? Then, Kat, lost forever.
I didn't hear most of that. I apologize. They had the loudspeaker going. What was that?
I'm sorry. Yeah, everything I share, I always put a title in it, or an explanation, or come on, people, wake up, you need to get involved now, or something like that. But everyone has to wake up some stage and engage in this fight. And everyone's got to suffer this heartbreak, the sort of feeling of you've been lied to, or something like that. Everyone's got to have that realization to get involved. But what do you think the 4 to 6% loss forever is?
The people that are still wearing the masks.
Yeah.
The people that are still lining up for even though they're being told they're being poisoned.
The people that.
The people that, no matter what we say to them, they're not going to care.
Yeah. Even if it's given to them on the mainstream media.
Given to them, and they don't care.
Yeah.
When somebody's wearing a mask in the car by themselves.
Yeah. Anywhere, outside. What are you wearing it outside?
I see people jogging.
Oh, gosh. But I will say, I forgot who said this. I don't know if it was a show with you and I, Stu. Somebody said that the numbers, I think it was maybe on the marathon, someone was saying it, that we had with Lewis Herms last week, that the number of moms, parents, that are actually vaccinating their children is so far down. So that makes me feel really, really good. It's silent. They're not saying a lot. At least, look, none of us are in those circles anymore. I don't have friends that are having babies, and we're a little older than that, all of us right now, to have that as our groups. But that warms my heart, because people are just getting off the grid and they're like, screw this. And that makes me feel really good. So I got to think, and we talk about this a lot, the ads, because like here in New York, I don't know how it is over there, Stu. Even if I don't watch TV, regular TV, but I have YouTube, I have Rumble, and there's nonstop big pharma ads, and there's, the big box.
But then right behind it, it's Peter McCullough. So
Yeah. So is it because they are just trying to continue to bombard to see, like, the litmus test, are people like, okay, we did X number of spots and this, and it got to this many people, but now we're seeing that compared to last year, it's just, I think that's the only way they can actually measure this, because they can't go door to door and say, they have to have a system to figure out what are those numbers. And I don't really think they're advertising it anymore, the bad guys. I think they're using it now as a barometer to
and to
say
piss people off to speak up.
that, and also to gauge.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did all this advertising, but only X percentage, and that's 20% less than last year. And I think numbers show the story more than anything else.
Did you see that video about 3-4 weeks ago, Kat, with Dr. Pete McCullough on I think it was on Fox News or Newsmax or something like that, and OSBN or whatever it was, with that other guy, and he said, I honestly think now that anyone still taking this jab is mentally ill. Did you see that clip?
No, I just saw
I
an ad
thought
for
it's not a hand. I think it's gone onto one of my hard drives now, but I'll find that for you.
Okay.
That's brilliant. I love it.
I just saw the ad for his, protocol right on Fox, and I'm like,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But he's been on Fox for a long time. They did manage to slip him in even during the whole nonsense. And you got to wonder, if the censorship was coming from bad guys, they would have never let that happen. So they put him in there to say, okay, how many people are going to grasp onto this?
And
Because
also
they still
to get
trust
familiar
Fox.
with him and be a household name, kind of.
Exactly.
With Trump, right? Because I always said, what better person than to put a reality star in this position of the puppet of what we call a president, right? And showing how we don't need that. Like, we can do ourselves, like we could do things ourselves. And believe me, what that team is doing is brilliant and beyond. I can't even imagine. But showing us, like, anybody could have been in that seat at any time and we never would have known who
Exactly.
it was.
Yeah.
So now people are paying attention to who's in that seat. Again, it's showing us what we lived through, so we never allow it to happen again. And we have to always remember, remember what they did.
Yeah, and I think Fox News is pretty much an exposure operation now, isn't it? Because if you watch any of Matrix, Codebreaker and stuff like that, he constantly monitors Fox News, and it's almost like we're getting Q drops.
It's Q drops.
Comms and stuff through Fox News. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
My boyfriend watches The Five, and he's like, looks over at me sometimes. I just got this big ass grin on my face, and I was like, he's like, what? I'm like, nothing. Literally, I want to say, like, take a screenshot and send it to him sometimes. I think I might start to do that, because it's like he needs to start to see why I was saying what I was saying and because we have the playbook too. We have it.
Yeah. If you've got the eyes to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was great. I mean, we covered a lot of ground. We're gonna have to have you back again, not in the not too near future. And Any other insights or
I
anything
just
you
wanted
want?
to share one more Q drop, and it's with our veterans again. 2480.
Hold up, I'm on the wrong screen there.
No, you're fine.
2480.
2480.
Right, let's get that on the screen. Yeah. With respect, honour and gratitude, your sacrifices will never be forgotten. Thank you and God bless veterans. I'll just add one thing to that we've, over in the UK on GB News, we had a 100-year-old veteran on the other day. Did you see that clip? And he was, it's about a 2-minute clip, and he was almost breaking down. Probably got it somewhere.
You're
If
gonna
I
make
can
me
find
cry.
it. He was almost, here it is. Bear with me a sec.
What does Remembrance Sunday?
Right, and this is why I say to people that, look, it's only been 75 years or so since the Second World War, since these not Nuremberg trials, whatever they were, but the Nuremberg Code came in, right, and never were we allowed this to happen again, right? And 70 years later, right, people don't give a fuck, right? They are so comfortable on their phones and stuff. This is why they won't get in. Don't affect me, Jack. I'm all right in my bubble. All these sorts of things. This is why everyone's got to get involved. And I posted this saying something similar, that you don't remember what these people sacrificed and did for their countries so that you could toss it off looking at your phone all day, swiping left and right and all these sorts of things. And this broke a lot of people's hearts. Watch this.
What does Remembrance Sunday mean for you? What is your message?
My message is, I can see in my mind's eye those rows and rows of white stones of all the hundreds of my friends and everybody else that gave their lives for what? The country of today. No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
What do you mean by that, though?
Well, what we fought for, and what we fought for was our freedom. We find that even now it's darn sight worse than what it was when I fought for it.
Oh, Alec, I'm sorry you feel like that, because I want you to know that all the generations that have come since, including me and my children, are so grateful for your bravery and all that for service personnel. And it's our job now, isn't it, to make it the country that you fought for. You absolutely fought for. And we will do. We want to...
I'm so wonderful to know there are people like you that spread the word around.
We will do.
Younger generation.
And I guarantee that everybody watching at home will be wanting you to send lots of love. We've got another little bit special thing for you, Alec. We've got the D-Day darlings here. Come on over, guys. You've got a little special present for him. Ooh. Come and give it if you can, to thank you for all your many brave years of service and others like you.
This is our album, Alec, and I know you love a lot of the songs on there. And this is the least we can do. This is such a small thing, but you know, we love you so much, Alec.
And it's all signed for you there as
These
well.
young ladies are like my own daughters.
I mean, that's heartbreaking, isn't it? But it's also a mockery, you know, sort of giving CD and stuff like that, when he's just, all he's saying is, people wake up and do something. That's all he wants, you know.
Yeah.
We get to take the baton now, right? And hopefully this is the last that we'll have to have veterans that dealt with what they dealt with.
Exactly.
Right? Like, we are going to have different maybe types of wars and stuff, but I don't think it's going to be like kinetic. Yeah, I think it's going to be more what we've, like the psychological and the things that we did go through, but I think that it's for a purpose, so we can learn from our mistakes and learn so we can be better humans to one another. And, you know, if this person in this country wants to fight that, let them go fight it out. Why are we going to war for them and their ideas and what they want? And I think a lot more people are understanding of that.
And I don't think we're going to have war as much. You know, it's first of all, you know, it's part of the, exactly. And it's part of Nasara, Jasara.
No disrespect to anybody that.
No. But what I'm saying is these people had to give so much. Their families had to give so much. And we're not going to have these conflicts because a lot of those conflicts were, you know, were made on purpose because of other nefarious reasons. And they put freedom in the spotlight to, you know, when a lot was controlled. And I think a lot of these veterans are realizing that, but it doesn't diminish in any way what they did and why they did it and how they did it and the respect they deserve from everyone. So
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously all these soldiers are going to have their own awakening, aren't they?
And a lot of them have. A lot of them have.
To a lot of these conflicts and situations.
They're upset about it. And they're like, oh, I went to war for that.
Yeah.
You know? But one of the things that we do in the Back to Light group is it's a ghost army. And I have a lot of family that are in the service that are not here anymore. And we pray with them and we help them to, you know, thank them for their service, and also things that they saw, help them with trauma and different things like that. So the Ghost Army is our family and us, and trying to put it together and say, it's okay. You did what you did when you thought you needed to do that, you know, and don't have the regret or the shame or whatever that came along with your service, because what you did was so important at the time. It really
was. Yeah.
Exactly. That's been amazing, isn't it? That 2 hours has flown, hasn't it?
It did. It went right by. Thank you so much.
Yeah, brilliant.
Do you have one of your usual outros?
Well, I was just going through them, and since we're talking about Q drops a lot today, and we are all 117% Q-tarded in here, you saw General Flynn's video he put out a little while ago, Kat, didn't you? 3 minutes 40 seconds long, with all the "We are in 5th generation warfare." Did you see that one? You'll see it as soon as it comes on. I reworked it, and I've put a lot of the Q drops in as a sort of like a little survival manual for if we get all this 55 for the American storms upon us and all that and all this. So it's a great video to watch, but it's also, you have to watch it, but then you want to watch it again and pause it and read the drops at the times and all that. But I just think it's excellent. We'll watch this.
Send it to me.
Yeah, I've got the file. I'll send it to you.
Share it out.
It's on all my platforms anyway. It's pinned to Twitter and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, this is just, be safe out there, people. Love, not fear.
And when's our next show, Stu? Today's Tuesday, so we're on again
Thursday, 3:30.
On Thursday, yep, 3:30 GMT and 10:30 EST Eastern Time.
Waffling on some more.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you, Kat.
All right.
Love you.
Kat, we speak to you after this. All right.
Okay.
We are in a war most people don't even see. It's not just bombs or bullets. It's information, technology, and control over what you believe. Every day, powerful forces shape the news you read and the thoughts you hold. This is 5th generation warfare. And whether you know it or not, you are already on the battlefield. The choice is yours. Remain unaware or recognize the fight and take a stand.
Running through the dark, nowhere left to hide. Battle lines are drawn, taste the smoke and fire. This is warfare. We won't stop till you fall. Cut you down. Take it all. One by one. Say goodbye.